Welcome to A Marvelous Life. I'm Nashology, and today we are checking out one of the most requested series on this channel, the Thunderbolts. Considering what the Thunderbolts are about, it's no surprise why they're so popular. All it takes is one look at comic books' most popular characters to understand the appeal towards a team of both anti-heroes and villains alike. Whether you're a fan of the Punisher and his extremely brutal and corrupted nature, or you enjoy the viciously violent Venom in all of his forms, people are drawn to morally gray characters. And morally gray is probably a polite characterization of the Thunderbolts. Debuting back in 1997, the Thunderbolts arrived on the scene during the absence of many of the world's superhero groups, such as the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. They stepped up in a big way, forming together under team leader Citizen V to become the new barrier between evil and the innocent. Well, too bad it was all a ruse, because Citizen V turned out to be Baron Zemo, and the Thunderbolts turned out to be disguised supervillains. Their goal was to win the trust of the public, become the next Avengers, and then gain access to all of S.H.I.E.L.D's secrets, and with that, ultimate power. Luckily, this plan failed. But in this failure, enlightenment was found. Many of these would-be villains had an epiphany. Darkness illuminated. Quite simply, they realized that being loved by the public was actually more enjoyable than being hated and feared. And thus, the Thunderbolts were reborn. This thematic portrayal of redemption would be the foundation of future stories surrounding the Thunderbolts. Ex-villains trying to do good. And with countless anti-heroes in the MCU, the Thunderbolts will have no problem scouting potential team members for future film iterations, just as long as they include this guy. Okay, let's set the scene for this series. The Civil War has just ended, so if you need to catch up on those events, check out part 1, 2, and Aftermath over on this channel. With the Civil War now over, the Thunderbolts have officially been enlisted by the U.S. government. Their job is to track down any undocumented vigilante who refused to sign the Superhuman Registration Act. It's a chance at redemption for these individuals. That is, if they don't screw it up first. This series will have plenty of new characters, so I'll do my best to explain as we go. For now, I think the stage is properly set. So, without further ado, I present the story of the Thunderbolts. A single light illuminates a cold, large room as a man prepares for his life to change. He is being called for something larger than himself, a true purpose. And lucky for him, he has absolutely no choice in the matter. It's time he finally does some good in this world. For Bullseye has been chosen to partake in a new experiment, one that will rely on his impressive ability to kill. But freedom comes at a price, and that price is steep. Sitting in the shadows, a mysterious benefactor explains Bullseye's predicament. He has been chosen for a team that will act on behalf of the U.S. government, on behalf of the Registration Act. A team that will hunt down superpowered vigilantes who refuse to sign the act. Vigilantes like the new Avengers. But nothing is that simple, because freaks like Bullseye cannot be trusted, not when murdering innocents is a pleasurable pastime. Bullseye has been given an injection of nano-sized generators capable of downing an elephant. The human body can survive 3 shocks from these generators, just 3. The 4th shock, well, let's hope you don't experience the 4th shock. After the tour of duty is complete, all members of the team will be released with a new identity, and also a first-class ticket out of the USA. Well, that or a discreet bullet to the brainstem. As attractive an offer will get for a murdering psychopath. And the man should know, for he is cut of the same cloth. But for now, Norman Osborn will be the one calling the shots, for the Thunderbolts are now in play. Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, is a good guy? Well, let me explain. Debuting as a villain all the way back in 1964, Normie has pretty much endured as one of Spider-Man's arch enemies for as long as the Marvel Universe has been the Marvel Universe. He's a mass murdering psychopath who's hellbent on death and destruction. But all that changed during the Civil War. To make a long story short, a jailed Norman was given a deal by Tony Stark. Help him win the Civil War, and he will get a fresh start as the director of the new Thunderbolts. What the f*** was Tony thinking? As the sun sets in Cleveland, Ohio, a man named Jack relaxes after a hard day of work. But the relaxation is cut short as his wife makes a startling discovery: Jack's old costume, or better yet, the sign of an undocumented vigilante. Jack explains that he refuses to register his identity. It's un-American. Captain America died for this belief. But his wife isn't hearing it. Everyone knows what happens to undocumented heroes. They get locked up, humiliated, thrown to the curb. It just isn't worth it. But to Jack, it is worth it. This costume symbolizes everything he holds dear. A flag comprised of stars, united under one banner. And as long as those are stars and not swastikas, Jack is going to keep his costume. But the argument is interrupted by an external commotion. Crime is rising, ever since the new Avengers went into hiding. Ever since the Civil War split America in two. And Jack cannot just stand by and watch. It goes against everything Captain America taught him. And he's not about to let down the spirit of Captain America, Thunderbolts or not. Jack's wife yells in protest. They're supposed to be hiding. They can't keep doing this. He's jeopardizing their lives every time he goes out there. But the decision is already made. He won't stand back and let criminals run this city. And with one final heartfelt apology, Jack is off to save the day, for better or for worse. With a walk that exudes confidence, a young woman is hastily summoned by Norman Osborn. A young woman by the name of Dr. Carla Sofin, alias Moonstone. If you're familiar with the Thunderbolts, then you know Moonstone fairly well. Everybody else? Let me fill you in. Moonstone is one of Marvel's most powerful female supervillains. She gets her namesake from an extraterrestrial gem that supplies her with limitless power. The power of this stone lets her fly, shoot energy beams, and have superhuman strength. However, if this gem is ever taken away from her, she will die within 72 hours. She's also one of the Thunderbolts with no intention of becoming a good guy. Cutting to the chase, Norman breaks the news to Carla. She has been assigned field leader for the new team of Thunderbolts. It's up to her to keep this group of glorified psychopaths from killing each other. But more so, Carla Sofin is a disturbed psychopath in her own right. A certified psychiatrist with a history of driving her patients to commit suicide. A monster in charge of monsters. What could go wrong? But Moonstone isn't fully convinced. Leading a strike team is dangerous. Why should she put her life on the line? To which Norman promptly answers, more money than you could possibly want, a presidential pardon for past crimes, and the ability to keep your Moonstone forever, which means you won't spend the rest of your life in a coma or worse. And with that, Moonstone asks for a pen and where to sign. Outside of Thunderbolts Mountain, an eerie calm fills the cold Colorado sky. But inside the mountain, a palpable excitement spreads throughout. It can only mean one thing: mission time. As the new team of Thunderbolts are escorted to the launch pad, it's their first mission and the entire world will be watching. They are tasked with the detainment of undocumented vigilantes. They are former villains looking to rehabilitate their image. And now, they will be on full display, Tony Stark's personal strike force. And whoever is first on their list better run, because the Thunderbolts will not go down easy. because today, the monsters are out to play. The scream of the Thunderbolts jet blankets the sky. They're moving fast, and in mere moments, they'll arrive at their destination. Looking to the sky, fear begins to set in. This can't be happening. Plowing through the door, Jack tells his wife it's time to go. The Thunderbolts are here. He doesn't have time to escape with her. He needs to make a stand. It's time to put on the costume one last time. It's time to show the world that real superheroes will die for their beliefs. With her heart beating through her chest, Melissa Gold knows something's up. An unavoidable urgency. Norman Osborn has need of her because he now leads the Thunderbolts. A position that used to be held by Melissa, or as she's normally known, Songbird. As far as Thunderbolts go, you can't get more OG than Songbird. Debuting with the original team back in 1997, Melissa Gold looked to reinvent herself. As a villain, she was known as Screaming Mimi, with the power of enhanced vocal cords. Now, she's the hero Songbird, who can convert sound into a variety of physical forms, such as wings, shields, and weapons. Unlike Moonstone, Songbird is actually one of the Thunderbolts' success stories. She's living proof that redemption is possible, and probably the character you guys are going to be rooting for. Norman breaks the news to Songbird. She will not be the field leader of this team, regardless of her tenure with the Thunderbolts. Norman doesn't trust her, not one bit. She contains something that is unique to the Thunderbolts: a conscience, a sense of morality, not exactly desired traits for his team. But she's useful all the same. The public trusts her, and with her around, the public may trust the Thunderbolts. Serve your time, catch some undocumented vigilantes, and then earn a brand new identity that you can screw up any way you choose. Because the Thunderbolts are not done with Songbird just yet. The time has come. There is nowhere left to run, not anymore. It's time to see what these monsters are made of. Because make no mistake, the Thunderbolts are not superheroes, and they are not here to make friends. But that's okay, because Jack Flag isn't feeling very friendly today. In the last issue, we were introduced to Jack. Well, let me reintroduce you to Jack Flag. Debuting in 1994, Jack was a supporting character in Captain America's Adventures. He was a normal guy until one day he was drenched in chemicals that granted him strength on par with Captain America himself. Not only is he as strong as Cap, but he also shares his nationalistic resolve. Which means, if Steve wasn't signing the Superhuman Registration Act, then neither is Jack Flag. As the Thunderbolts square off with Jack, the parking lot fills with media reporters. With a complete lack of common sense, they push forward in unison, hoping to get the next big story, hoping to fill the 6 o'clock news with more death. But little do they realize they're all about to become part of the carnage. As Jack screams a challenge to the team of miscreants. Looking to answer that challenge, Moonstone decides to do what she does best: play dirty. As she tells the radioactive man to put microwaves into the gas tanks of the cars. If the media want a bloodfest, then let's give them a bloodfest. Now, let's catch a vigilante, shall we? Down, but not out, Jack Flag catches his breath. He knows it's just getting started. As Moonstone sends 2 of her Thunderbolts to apprehend the hero. So, in they move, prepared to strike Jack down. And as Swordsman brings down his deadly blade, Jack decides he isn't going down without a fight, effortlessly punching Swordsman's blade in half like a child's toy, and then kicking the broken sword directly into the chest of Venom. causing the overgrown monster to scream in pain, before dishing out equal justice on Swordsman himself. With his form growing larger by the second, Venom's anger begins to take over. The man under the symbiote is no longer in control, and with one quick swipe, he grabs Jack Flag by the head and pulls him towards his gaping mouth. But eating a hero alive is not what the Thunderbolts are here for, so Moonstone calls into S.H.I.E.L.D. for a quick intervention, as Venom experiences his first nanogenerator shock, a warning for the Beast who almost ate a decorated hero on live television. Jack Flag uses the distraction to escape Venom, while Moonstone directs Songbird into the sky. She's the most experienced Thunderbolt here, and will need to rely on that experience to end this fight. But Jack isn't about to give up, as he picks up a loose hubcap from a destroyed vehicle and tosses it through the air with all his might, just like Captain America taught him. And with 3 of the Thunderbolts down, Jack Flag runs from the battle. He's done all he can here. It's time to leave. But Moonstone isn't finished. She turns to the one named Penance, a man with extraordinary powers, and tells him it's time to let loose. Jack isn't getting away, and letting loose is something he's good at. As Jack wrestles to stay conscious, he grunts in pain. Whoever that Penance is, he hits as hard as the Hulk. And there's no way he has any more fight left in him. He needs to sneak away before the Thunderbolts find him. So, he quietly enters a nearby building, hoping to make a clean getaway. Who would have thought one man could take on the Thunderbolts and get out alive? But he may have spoke too soon. With the blade jammed into his spinal column, Jack feels all sensation leave his body. He can't feel a thing. Nothing at all. Standing over Jack's now paralyzed body, Bullseye radios into Moonstone. This failure of a hero will never walk again. Mission complete. Dozens of reporters gather around as the near-dead Jack Flag is brought into custody. Another undocumented vigilante taken off the streets. And with a crooked smile, Moonstone watches as another hero is brought to his knees. Watching the media coverage, Norman Osborn grimaces in disgust at the remarkable failure of his team. But there's a silver lining. Another list of vigilantes to apprehend. Another chance to show what the Thunderbolts are capable of. Scarlet Spider, Battlestar, Black Fox, countless vigilantes to bring to justice. But to Norman, there's only one name on his mind. SpiderMan. It's the only name he hears. It's the only name he wants. Dismissing his secretary, Norman takes a seat at his desk, his anxiety rising to unbearable levels. She said Spider-Man, didn't she? He's not going crazy, right? No, she must have said Spider-Man. Downing his medication, Norman quietly pleads for his thoughts to subside. Please, not now.
Spider-Man. 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 Spider-Man.
Okay, this is a brand new series with brand new characters, so let's do a quick recap. Led by Norman Osborn, the Thunderbolts are a strike team that operate on behalf of the U.S. government. Their goal? To capture undocumented vigilantes who haven't signed the Registration Act. Unfortunately for these vigilantes, the Thunderbolts have a by any means necessary attitude. So, they can't kill you, but you'll probably wish you were dead. Which is safe to say for Jack Flag, whose spine was brutally severed by Bullseye. But what's going on with Norman? Is his insanity creeping back in? Only one way to find out. Let's finish part 1, The Thunderbolts. The words echo throughout the briefing room, stern and direct. That mission was an absolute disaster, a total failure. But not to Moonstone. In fact, the capture of Jack Flag couldn't have gone better. It was a shining success. Jack Flag took out 3 of the Thunderbolts on his own. The destructive capabilities of undocumented vigilantes is now more obvious than ever. The public knows that it needs the Thunderbolts, thus a total success. But Moonstone's views are not echoed by Songbird, not in the slightest. That operation was a mess, a total catastrophe. The Thunderbolts are not working as a team, and it shows. Songbird declares that she should be the field leader, not Moonstone. She doesn't know how to be a leader. And Songbird has put her heart and soul into this team. She cares about the Thunderbolts. Moonstone will just get everyone killed. Watching the argument, Norman can't help but smile. Who would have thought anyone could care about the well-being of these delinquents? But Moonstone laughs it all off. The Thunderbolts are hers, not Songbird's, and she'll just have to live with that fact. A notion that sickens Songbird to her core. After the team meeting, Norman Osborn sits down with Dr. Chen Liu, the reformed villain known as the Radioactive Man. Dr. Chen explains that he doesn't want to wear the suit. He can control his powers without it. But unfortunately, it's the way things have to be. Norman tells him that he's here on behalf of the Chinese government, and therefore he isn't to be treated as a criminal. Nonetheless, the Thunderbolts have an image to uphold. The Thunderbolts track down undocumented Americans. The Radioactive Man isn't American. His Chinese ethnicity needs to be hidden. And therefore, the hazmat suit stays. Simple as that. But Dr. Chen has one more issue. He wants Songbird to reclaim her leadership role. She's better equipped for the job than Moonstone. But Norman quickly shoots him down. He doesn't trust Songbird. Her heart is too big. Besides, he has a purpose for this team. Just trust the process. And in a year from now, everyone will get out alive. Well, maybe everyone. Alone in the locker room, a man struggles with a voice in his head. But is it his voice or Venom's? But truthfully, Mac Gargan is never alone anymore. Not while this creature cohabitates his body.
Let me guess, when you saw Venom, you thought it would be this guy. That's Eddie Brock, the original Venom. This guy, that's Mac Gargan, the current host of the Venom symbiote during the Civil War era. He bonded with the symbiote after it was abandoned by Eddie Brock. Why did it choose Mac Gargan as the next host? Well, Mac Gargan used to be known as the Scorpion, famous bad guy to Spider-Man. Eddie hated Spider-Man. Mac Gargan hates Spider-Man. Yep, all makes sense now.
Handing Mac a shirt, Norman asks what he's going through. What is it like living with Venom? It's cold and dark. A feeling that is unbearable to behold. A constant shivering agony. It's horrible, but that's not the worst part of it. The worst part is thinking about life without this coldness inside him. As the sun sets and the stars come out to play, 3 cockroaches happen upon a nearby bank. And as impatience sets in, they realize their window of opportunity is closing fast. So they decide it's time to get a little dirty. But not in the way they expect, because tonight, cockroaches are on the menu. With the bank robbers down, the mysterious man in the spider suit approaches.
unfazed from the recent commotion. This town now belongs to the Steel Spider, and this shit ends today.
And there we have it, the beginning of our series on the Thunderbolts. If you enjoy this series, make sure to give it a like and let me know who your favorite Thunderbolt is so far. There'll be many more videos on this team, so stick around to catch the action. Until next time, I'm Nashology, and this is A Marvelous Life.